I didn't even check when the last show was, really. So
I don't know
I
if we've
would
done one
say
in 2019.
we haven't done one yet this year. We haven't done one since we've been at the convention. So welcome to the show. This is Zach, uh, the Grand
Zach and
Poobah
J-Mac.
Johnson, and me. Back again with the GG Leap show, Esports and Land Center show, and I would say probably either November. Was that when we were in Orlando?
Yeah, IAPA was November, second week of November, I think. Obviously, I recorded a video, I know, for the Fortnite event while we were at the Urban Air install down in Dallas. But a lot of stuff's happened since then, that we can obviously cover some of that stuff today. And, I mean, one of the things that we'll just talk about and jump right into some things, we just hit 1,000 subs on our YouTube channel. And we're not trying to get subs, like we're not advertising it, or like the only thing we use it for really is to try to share some knowledge with folks, because we don't have time to jump on one-on-one calls with everyone that's getting started. So we use those shows as kind of a, hey, here's some ideas, here's some tips and tricks. I really think we should go back, because we call this the Twitch cast in our notes, and we do this right now. I don't know when you'll get this uploaded to YouTube, but we're doing this on a Friday morning, which works out okay for you and I, but it wouldn't be a very ideal time to do it if we wanted to do it live and interact with folks on Twitch, because I think and I'll share some of these numbers in a minute, but with the number of centers that are starting up around the world, in our system and not in our system, like whether they use ggCircuit services or not, a lot of people just need information, and we feel like that this is our easiest way that we can share information. Instead of us always, my default go-to is, person walks in the door at the store, person emails, person calls, however they reach out to us, help me, I've got questions. We always say, and I know you do the same thing I do, head to youtube.com/ggCircuit. There's a whole series of videos. Like, that's our go-to for free advice. We don't have to schedule anything. We have a whole division now with ggCircuit that does professional services. It'll be branded and part of our website as we redo our website in the next couple months. But, I don't want everybody to feel like we're just doing this to charge money. How do we do a better job of reaching all these folks? And I thought maybe a live show might be worth it, and maybe just once a month, because you and I both know it's brutal to kind of get together and do this recording for YouTube. We connect with Skype to do it. We used to connect with Skype, and then you would use some sort of program to stream it to Twitch, but now you just record it.
Right.
I think it might be easier if just once a month, we pick a day. And so then for the next 2 or 3 weeks, anybody that inquires, we're like, hey, here's our video stream, and don't miss our show on February the 19th at 8 p.m. We'll be live for an hour or two and just field questions from the chat. And that way we're kind of given a little more, like, we may be repeating ourselves. We get frustrated a lot of times repeating ourselves with a lot of things that, are common questions that come up every single time. But sometimes people just like to ask that, like maybe they haven't seen the 30-second video that answered that question in our YouTube channel. They're just like, hey, how many circuits does it take per station? How much can I expect to spend on electricity, or whatever those questions might be? We can answer those pretty quickly in those live shows.
Yeah, it's just a matter of having people to help do a professional setup, and for us to have some extra time to plan, I think. But it could be done. I almost think it'd be better to do maybe like a monthly Ask Me Anything type of setup on Reddit or something like that we could send people to. But
right, we would need, like we've talked about, a third person at least that would be in charge of taking your feed and my feed and putting it together and streaming, and then maybe that would allow you to watch the chat and respond to folks in chat and bring questions up verbally between us on the stream.
Yeah.
And we could even then bring in 3 or 4 people and do panels, we could have some folks jump on with us, whether it be from our side, like Georgina in the marketing, or Mark or Chris or Ross, or, Winger or any of these folks, we could bring them on and have them jump in as well. So there could be themes each time,
Yeah, I think the one thing as a lesson, not just to talk about what we're doing, but to talk about, other people too. I see all kinds of media out there, and I see Facebook Live and whatever else. But it's like what you said. We've just kind of done this on random dates, have tried to pull out questions from people who contact us to get those answered, and a vast majority of people who contact us said, "Hey, I found your YouTube videos," and like you said, it's just kind of been a slow new subscriptions couple times a day until we've got to 1,000, and we really haven't promoted it much other than just putting out, I guess, what we would consider important or quality content for land center owners.
Right, and just trying to focus on those regularly asked questions, from startups. But that doesn't mean we can't. Like with the live show, the nice thing would be is that some people might jump in and ask some more advanced questions, like that have been open for 5 years. Mm-hmm. So I just had a call with one of our clients last week, and they're like, okay, what's some ideas for filling up my event schedule? And we've got documents out there and we've done shows about it or whatever, but just, like even in that conversation yesterday, for an example, we'll move into our next little topic is, so we've actually got some clients now that we're working with. We're doing the full package, full service, literally so in our world, we call them like hobbyists or sole proprietors. Okay. So there's the Jason McIntosh wants to open a center. Maybe it's him and his wife, maybe it's him and his buddy, but they come to us and we work on helping them get their one store open. Then there's these enterprise customers that come to us that maybe are giant casinos or universities or, and they want to add in esports, but they don't necessarily want to spend the time digging in the weeds and getting to know how to do everything. And they just want to hire somebody to do it. And so one that we're working with right now is a private high school that is adding in a giant thing. We'll hopefully be able to announce it officially in April, but it'll seat about 72 players, 48 PCs, some extra consoles and everything else in there. It'll be a nice big, by far the biggest thing I've seen any high school do. And as we were talking about things with them, we had a couple new ideas for events and things that they could do as part of their launch process that I think might be applicable to game centers everywhere. And so those sort of things might come up on the show, if we're doing it live and somebody asks one of those questions. It's just really hard because we're so busy, there's so much going on in our world that, we talked about this like a year or two ago. Here's some numbers. We'll use some of these numbers from some of my notes today. So in 2018, some fun stats from us. One of them is we were averaging 40 new centers per month in the ggLeap system in 2018. So it's a big number. I remember 2 or 3 years ago, we were like, what if we could add one a day? You remember? We were like, let's just try to add one a day. Let's try to go out and find him. We were calling people and in those days, like everybody that came to us, like we were grabbing onto him and holding on to him. Now the last 3 months, we've averaged 75 a month, so that is, we're closing in on 3 a day, at this point, and it's all automated. We don't touch them and hold them as much as we used to because we just don't have time. So how do we use this technology and the videos and other things to continue to have that, that personal service that I think is so important to who we are and what our message is, as big as we get, ggCircuit is a multi-million-dollar company now, and that sounds big and awesome and whatever, but we're really not, and we don't feel like we are. We're Zach and J-Mac talking in a video, and we're Chris and Ross and Andy, and, we're Mark and William, and, all of these folks that have been doing this for a while. We're the same folks as before. We're adding more people that help us with these things, but we're not changing anything of what we're trying to do. So anyway, here's some more fun stats from 2018 for ggCircuit. We launched version 1.0 last year. So in late October, early November, we launched 1.0. It was it's all automated now. You can sign up for a trial on the website. It creates the servers for you automatically. You have full control over everything, setting up everything from your side and the admin. We have full 24-hour tech support available in the admin. Like the full version 1.0 experience was realized. As I said before, we added 40 new centers per month in 2018, which is awesome. We passed 10,000 screens in our network last year. It's going up so fast, like it's already over 11,000 now, like in the first month of this year. Some interesting stats that some people may want to know. And we don't hide anything, like if you go to our website, if you go to ggCircuit.com, it shows all these things we're adding in. To clarify some of that, we've had over 850,000 players, now 900,000 players participate in our network. That's all time. So what we look at is like an active user base over the last 90 days. It's over 300,000 now active players in the last 90 days. Those are things that we're taking into events for the centers this year with publishers and partners. And we'll start announcing some of that stuff very, very soon. I know the marketing folks have gotten those materials nearly finished. So we talked about yesterday on our call, like the ability for us to run a LAN party. You think about DreamHack and how big it is and how awesome it is. I mean, a weekend party at our network with our centers, is 300,000 players strong. That's amazing to think about activating that many players. We're increasing our month-over-month players by 10% per month. It's going up that quickly every month because so many new centers are adding in. So many players are going back to old centers and repeating and having fun in our network, in our series of events that we're running with Fortnite and everybody else. We've got partnerships now with Epic, with Riot, with Activision and Blizzard, and we're rolling those programs out. And the biggest thing probably last year that we accomplished right at the tail end of the year is the ability to do events through digital ticket sales and reserving slots in our system. And that's going to become a big part of what we do this year, whether it be the weekend LAN party concept, whether it be single tournaments on the weekend, whether it be subscriptions to events all month long. Those things are going to become a big part of what we do this year as we bring a lot of events into players. Because the key in all of this stuff is we want to make it as automated as possible, but we want there to be a time where somebody reaches out and clicks a button and agrees to join that event to show us that it is an active player that's participating in that event with our sponsors and partners. And the centers want the same thing. Like for the centers, it's very easy for them to physically see that as somebody walks in the front door and sits down in a seat. For them, that's an active player. But in the software world, we want to know that same sort of thing has happened, and they're not just glazing over what we're showing them on the screen, that they've clicked and they've participated in that event. So a lot of cool stats, that we again are happy to share with everybody. We're not secret about what we're doing. Our goal this entire time of building this software and building this company has been to service our own centers. My center here is still running the same as it was 15 years ago in 2004 when it started. I just love it now that my center's connected to all these other centers, and we have this automated systems to track stats and coins and reward system and prizes, and all of that stuff is built, and now we can just start dumping more things on top of it. So anything else as far as 2018 wrap up that you can think of, J-Mac? What was your big milestone last year?
I think from an internal perspective, the support thing has been really huge. Just to, for a long, long time, it was just Ross and I. So having a team that can take stuff, try to resolve as best they can. If they can't resolve it, they can, send it to us, has been a big relief for as far as our workload goes. Gosh, I don't know. I think being able to bring the regions together and do tournaments, still kind of with our nationwide concept that we used to do and still do with Zen Masters and whatever, but now on a global scale, I think that's a really huge deal. And we do a lot of work when it comes to organizing that stuff, but to have center owners on board that want to participate, that want to give their players an opportunity to play with people around the world, I think that's a really fun milestone.
Yeah, and one of the things that I think we start looking at as a company is what can we do that differentiates ourselves from what other companies or products that are out there today. It's not about a normal company that would be about sales or anything else. It's kind of about services. And it's a weird relationship because we're really focused on what can we deliver to the player experience, and the player is the customer of the center, and the center is the customer of us. So it's like a pyramid in a good way. Like we want to be able to educate and inform a lot of our centers on what's coming up, like the Fortnite event we just ran, and we're working with 113 different locations in that event. So we're coordinating with 113 locations, and then they're coordinating with 3,000 players that participated in that. Like, to me, that system is going to become the most valuable thing we all have, so that our little 50 players here at eBash and Terre Haute are represented as part of 3,000 upstream and have a voice with these publishers to be able to get these events. I mean, there are some really cool stuff we're working on for this year to really drive, hopefully, players out to centers. The other thing is, I think we focus on events. We built ggLeap as a robust management tool, and it's the foundation of letting us do what we want to do. But now we're back to what we really enjoy doing, which is the events and the experiences for players. And I don't see anybody else focused on that. I understand how important it is that at the end of the day, the system runs well and the reports work, and it's a secure system or whatever. I'm not poo-pooing that at all. I'm saying that I think what matters in the end is the player sits down and what can the player engage with and what the player can do that they can't do at home. That's been the biggest thing we've seen over 15 years of being in this business, is you've got to give an experience at our stores that is unlike what they can do at home. Mm-hmm. And we're filling that gap of, we don't want to be rent out an arena and go show up and win $1 million. Like, I sometimes hesitate as we look at our next few Fortnite events that we're planning. I don't necessarily want the prizes to keep getting bigger, because if, in the end, I want there to be more of these events and a lot of these events happening, and somehow to reward the players with things that go beyond just the cash. Like some of the reward should be the fact that there is this experience that you can get together with your buddies and play in a physical LAN center against people in another LAN center that you can't do at home. That's not about winning money. It's the concept of hanging out with your chums in a bowling league on a Thursday night. Like, sure, you're there to bowl and try to do the best you can, but in the end, you don't really care. There's no money involved. I don't know, there probably is cash bowling tournaments, but most of the time you're playing for a set of t-shirts or a cool, gaudy looking giant trophy with a bowler on top.
Or a bowling pin with your team name on it.
Yeah. All right. Next thing, we're going to hop over to some new business. So I've just got marked on my notes. I want you to talk a little bit about the reseller program. So we're scheduled to officially launch it in March, and this may be news to you, but we have like a timeline that we've set up for the 2019 for all the different groups within ggCircuit that are working on different projects. So our official launch of the reseller program, we'd like to be in March, but we've already started adding resellers into the program, and we've already started working the system. Why don't you talk a little bit about that and some expectations that we have, from what we think the reseller network's going to do for us?
Sure. Always the bridesmaid, never the bride. I don't know what's going on in this company. No, so it's basically what we're doing with the reseller program is providing an opportunity for people in countries outside of the U.S. to offer ggLeap in their country, in their culture, in their language. So, with that, basically a reseller will be provided a discount to purchase bulk credits, and a credit is 1 PC per month for centers who want to purchase ggLeap. The reseller's opportunity there is to sell ggLeap to centers in their country, depending on their market, and to basically profit from being involved with ggCircuit. So we have started to reach out to select people, and my criteria has been customers that really utilize ggLeap and kind of seeing what their market is out there, if it's worth it for them to be a reseller. So invitations have been sent out to some, and we're working through that right now. I think what we are trying to do for a reseller is not only saying, hey, you're a reseller now, good luck selling GG Leap in your country, but we are providing them sales leads. Now, obviously, they need to do the bulk of the work, but we are helping them in some regards to get leads to reach out to and to get some practice. So, obviously, depending on your market, that could be a good profit area for you if that's something you're interested in. And most of all, you're not afraid of competition because there are some countries where centers just hate each other. And so you have to have an attitude of we have that we want to bring everybody together in one network. And, the benefits as you come on network with a large scale entity are going to, I hate this term, but trickle down to everybody, and they really will as we continue to shower players with prizes and events and incentives to come to your location. I think as a specific example, and we've had this relationship for about a little over a year now with a reseller in Lebanon. And I didn't look at the numbers today, but I want to say somewhere between 30 and 50 centers he has brought on board as a reseller. And so, if your market has a LAN center or an internet cafe on every street corner, which, I've done some traveling and know that that's to be true, it could be a good boon for you. There was one more thing I wanted to say, and I can't really remember. Here's what I wanted to say was the process of becoming a reseller is really easy. We have done development to build a reseller website where once you are an approved and contracted reseller, you can go out there and buy bulk credits. You can create your own centers, which was just added yesterday. You can apply your credits to those centers, and our subscription system, if they're using credits, just utilizes their credits for their monthly bill.
Yeah, and again, the global picture is this pyramid, and there's only one Ross, there's only one J-Mac, there's only one Zach, and so just as we're trying to filter through the centers down to the players, right above the centers can be this layer of resellers. And for us, it's really about trying to get outside of our country and overcome the barriers of geographic and time differences and currency differences and language differences. And, so that's been our most successful resellers are really the ones that can take the knowledge that we pass down to them and go be the evangelist in that region, just like we've been the evangelist, out of the U.S. So, we're fine in the U.S. because we're in the same time zones. We do the same currencies. The economy's the same. Everything's all the same here. And so we can work with them. Scheduling a call for one of us with a potential new center in Australia or India or somewhere else is brutal for time zones, for languages, trying to do currency conversions, and then economic conditions. Those are things that are really important for us to try to overcome so that we can serve those countries appropriately, so the players in those countries get the same experience that the players in the U.S. get. We just have to put that other level in there, because our other option is trying to go out and hire people internally for us to be the support team and the sales team and the administrative team for all those regions, and that doesn't make sense. It really makes sense for us in these bulk situations where we can sell these at an extremely reduced rate and an appropriate rate for that country economically to these resellers, and then these resellers can go out and apply them as necessary in those countries. Even in a monthly or 6-month or 12-month contract, it doesn't matter to them.
Right.
They can kind of go out in any of those ways. So yeah, we're not really, we just want to mention it because a lot of people come to us and see these videos. It's not necessarily always a center. There are some resellers that are just tech companies that are, going out and they're doing network, or they're doing internet, or they're doing other services in their country, for other businesses. And this is another tool they could take out and sell. But it, a lot of cases, is a successful LAN center in a country that says, you know what, I may not want to build out 100 of my own stores. Instead, let me try to network with these other stores and get them to use the system so that we can have a countrywide competition for CSGO in 6 months and not necessarily have to wait on, other countries to get as many centers in their network that match up with us. So if you have any questions about it, obviously reach out to JMac. JMac can get you some more information about it. We'll have it all on the new rework of the website and everything coming up in the next 30 to 45 days. Like I said, Q1 is our goal to have it launched specifically in March as an official posted program. But, that's kind of been going on in beta behind the scenes the last year or so. But, automated wise, about the last, I'd say 60 days, we've had the credit system up and running. So. Couple other updates and we'll wrap up here. ggCircuit updates, just we mentioned this earlier. Fortnite tournament had 3,000 players earlier not this month because it's technically February 1st now, but 2 weeks ago the Fortnite tournament had 3,000 players at 113 centers, which is crazy numbers. Epic is amazed at what we were able to produce that weekend with our system, so we're continuing to look how to expand that program with them and should have some announcements coming up. Earmarking hopefully a date in March and hopefully a date in April. I will say that Fortnite, they're doing a lot of stuff in May, June, July themselves this year, so we won't do too much during that time, but we have some secret Fortnite stuff coming up that we'll talk about on our next show as an ongoing system that will be able to assist all of you out there in, I don't know how to say this without saying it too much. We'll assist all of you in running fun Fortnite events at your stores. Hopefully we'll be able to talk about that. Like I said, if our next show's in a couple weeks or so, I'm sure we'll be able to talk about it then. Another cool update for everybody is that we're working with a new company looking at how we can do broadcasting and things from each of these locations at each station potentially. It'd be an opt-in thing for centers, but just like here in my computer, I'm talking to you, have this Logitech camera on top of my monitor here. The ability for us to, when we run these global events or when a center is running their own internal events, to have a system that grabs those feeds from a camera and the gameplay on the screen, congregates them in a cloud system that they could then grab from somewhere else in a production environment and stream those onto whatever platform they would want to stream them on, whether it's Twitch or... There's a company that we're talking to now that really has a cool tool that might be that missing piece for us. We're not about to, I don't want to go develop software to broadcast. Like, there's plenty of great tools out there we can integrate with GG Leap. And these folks look like they may have a perfect fit for us because they're also cloud-based. And so we're starting down those avenues. I'd love to, by the next Fortnite event, be able to broadcast that on Twitch for everybody. Get exposure for all of our centers like we would want. It's really not about promoting any brands or anything like Fortnite doesn't want us to, but it's all about promoting Fortnite events that we're holding at our centers and the ability to reach players in that local environment close to you. So we've got that coming up. Again, it's just February 1st. We should have some great videos and great announcements coming up for people as far as player side. I've seen the marketing schedule for coming up for Q1, Q2. There's a lot of cool stuff that's going to be dumped out there that, again, it's always opt-in. There's a lot of you that are out there that have your own things that you're running, and we're not going to force anything on you. They're always opt-in events that you can participate in. I can't imagine anybody that wouldn't. To give you all an example, we're talking to some big companies now like GameStop, Game and Belong over in the UK, a couple other big multi-location humongous companies that want to roll some things out. None of them want to be exclusive off of our network. Like, most of them want to have the ability, just like we give other centers, to opt in and opt out of some of the things we're doing. So if you wanted to show up at, say, a company that has around 90 retail locations in the US that are hosting events right now, and show up at one of those events and play in one of our Fortnite tournaments, sure, they're going to do their own events, but why not allow those players that are showing up at those locations to participate in additional events through us? So that on-off network system that we're putting together for those bigger partners are available to everybody. Like, we're never going to force things upon anybody if they don't want to do them. There'll always be there'll be cooler versions of things that come out, that are built to support some of these other events that, people are like, hey, I want that new version, but I don't want to do, I don't know how much of that we can do. But we'll try to do it, keep it as neutral as possible for everybody as we continue to grow. So I think the takeaway from today is, let's set a date. Let's get together with the marketing folks on our team and let's set a date and let's do a live stream. Let's schedule it. Let's announce it. Let's start using that and promoting it so that we can have everybody join us live for the next one, post questions right during the recording, right during the show. Then again, if people miss it, it's like videos on demand. We can upload it. And maybe we could use this company we're talking to as a test for that one, using our own system right here, because one of the things they do is they'll simulcast it for you on Facebook, YouTube streaming, Twitch, and I think 2 or 3 other streaming services. So maybe we'll test that out for this next one with them later this month, hopefully.
Cool. And I think the only other thing I wanted to make sure to mention was we pushed some marketing out for the Gyo Combine in March, which again is going to be open to any and all centers around the world to have your best players, or even players that you don't know, come in and get their stats tracked and potentially be eligible for recruitment from pro teams or from colleges for scholarships.
Yeah, it's a great opportunity, and it's free for everybody to just get their Gyo score, and then you can join their network. And this first one is like, there's a bunch of discounts for it, I know, because a lot of it is if you're a high school player looking for college scholarships, it would be to your advantage to join their system as a paying member, whereas the rest of us, I'm not going to go on a pro team. I'm not going to go to college again anytime soon, but I'm kind of curious as to how I would stack up. And so I can get a free Gyo score by just, clicking through and linking my stuff into their system. If you want to then make yourself available to be recruited by different organizations, then obviously you can join their system, and we're excited to have them on as a partner. It's just one of those just an example of how we want to integrate with different partners to bring more of these programs to the players and drive players to the centers.
And there'll be more and more, information coming, but that's March 1st through the 10th. And from what's out there, just make sure to get that in some of your players' minds on your social media channels. So.
Baby countdown?
Oh, man, I don't even know. 2
months?
What?
3
It's
months?
February.
Yeah.
3 months.
It's February.
It's almost into the 3rd trimester. Yeah.
Oh, Daddy J Mac. We'll have to do a live show with baby Bjorn. No, baby Thor. No, baby Elsa. We don't even know, boy or girl or anything.
Nope.
You're such a mystery.
Nah, it's just gonna be more fun to be surprised.
It is fun. I'm excited.
All right.
All right, buddy.
See ya.
See ya.